Hello and welcome back to another FPL video. Today we're doing my team selection for game week 13, and it's a big week because I'm going to be using the final chip that I have remaining, and that is going to be the free hit chip. But we are going to take a look at my team from game week 12 first before we jump into that, and that was a very nice week for myself again, which has brought me up now to 27k in the world, which is absolutely fantastic. I think I was sitting about 78k in game week 12, and we continue to move on with fantastic scores, and hopefully this free hit this week is going to continue that. A game week average of 39 points, and I managed 61, which was great. And again you could kind of say it was kind of pretty lucky. I brought in Anderson last week. If you watched the team selection last week, it came out on Tuesday, I believe. I was away for that entire week, so I did have to make the team selection video in advance, and that was about 4 or 5 days before that, and of course trust the international break to then bring about 4 injuries, 4 major injuries, which of course I didn't talk about in the team selection. So one of those injuries was Gabriel, and I was kind of, I was ready to stick to the plan the entire time, and just maybe roll the transfer and see, potentially just leave Gabriel on the bench. But obviously it came out then that his injury is going to be about 1 to 2 months, and I had to try and find a replacement. I was also tempted to wait until this week to make a transfer, if any, because I didn't really like anyone at all in defence, for the next upcoming games. In terms of a Gabriel replacement, I did feel as though I had all of the good Gabriel replacements, being Van Dijk, Munoz, Timber, players that everyone brought in last week I already have in my squad. So it came to the end of it, and there was doubts over Semenyo as well, and at that point I would have had Kruppe Jr., King and Gabriel on the bench. So I was thinking, in the off chance that Semenyo is ruled out, I will just take out Gabriel and I'll just go for Anderson, just in case Semenyo doesn't play. That way I've got a decent bench player. Got a bit lucky in the fact that Semenyo then didn't play, and Anderson ended up getting a 10-pointer, which was fantastic, and he ended up getting auto-subbed into the team. But alongside Anderson, we also got some really nice scores from Daniel Munoz, and Enzo Fernandez finally repaying his as well, especially considering the fact that I took out Elliot Anderson to get in Enzo Fernandez. And Anderson has picked up 2 attacking returns out of nowhere in the last 2 weeks, of course, because what else? But yeah, I'm happy Enzo's done well. I'll maybe look at getting him. I'm not really looking too far into the future right now. Obviously, game week 17, we do get 5 free transfers. So it's kind of just looking at, surviving from, game week 13, 14, 15, and 16 before we get those free transfers in, and we'll see what happens. But so I thought I'd spend the majority of this video on Fantasy Football Hub so that I can go through my current team, why I'm planning on using the free hit this week over other weeks, and also I thought I'd build a free hit draft as to what I'm currently looking at, and give a couple of reasonings behind the players that I'm going to be choosing. So this is my team for game week 13 as it stands. Still a 97% team rating with a 92% game week rating, which is again by no means a bad looking team for this week. I think the one thing I have noticed is that I've got a fair few away fixtures in there. If you take out the forwards, the majority of my players are playing away from home. Bournemouth, Arsenal, Liverpool are all playing away from home, as well as Pope in goals. So it's kind of, I'll be honest, I don't really feel as though I need to use the free hit this week, but I'm not seeing a week in future that I do feel as though I'm going to need to use it. And there's a lot of players that I would like this week that I don't currently have. So Brentford are playing against Burnley. There's a couple of Brentford guys I'd like to pick up. Aston Villa have a nice fixture against Wolves as well, and I've only got one City player against Leeds, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. And in terms of game week 14, my team's looking really nice still. Game week 15, the team's looking really nice. 16's fine as well. 17, everything just seems alright. I've only got one player going to AFCON, which is going to be Ndiaye, which is going to be the only problem there. And if I even go over to the FPL FDR rating, there's not a ton of teams going forward that I'm really going to want a lot of players from. Game week 14 has a lot of nice fixtures, but Nottingham Forest are playing against Wolves. I don't really want too many of those players. Man United could maybe be a an interesting one. Liverpool with Sunderland as well. But in terms of Bournemouth and Palace, I've got plenty of those players. I've got double Palace and double Bournemouth already. So it's really only Man United and Liverpool that I'd be looking at for game week 14. Game week 15 is kind of a similar situation. Do I really want Brighton, Everton players? I've already got one Newcastle player there. It doesn't really feel as though there is a standout week. Game week 16 seems to be talked quite a lot with a lot of people. I've already got plenty of Arsenal. Brentford, if I want Thiago, I can look at transferring them in between now and then. And then Chelsea against Everton. Fair, okay, I've got Enzo Fernandez. It's not amazing either. So there's no obvious week for me to play the free hit. And I thought I might as well just do it this week when I've looked, had a look, obviously made a draft between now and making this video, and I really like the look of the draft. I can go for plenty of differentials, maybe look at a really nice week. So I thought that's basically what I'd spend today doing, and we can go over some of the picks as well. I think what makes this week really interesting as well is that when we look at the clean sheet odds and stuff, trying to pick defenders, it's a lot of the smaller teams. It feels like a good fun free hit kind of week to pick players from. Never am I really gonna want Brentford and Aston Villa players in this team. And looking at the clean sheet odds, obviously trying to pick some defenders, those are the teams that I'm obviously going to want to be looking at. So there's a few teams in there that kind of sit above the 30% threshold. I'm mainly for this free hit going to be looking at Man City, Brentford and Aston Villa as well as I look at that. So, instantly, if I actually swap over to the defenders, the DEFCON points, we'll start off with Brentford because their DEFCON players look pretty interesting. You can see in number 16th and number 18th, we have Nathan Collins and Sepp van den Berg. Now, they're both not doing amazing in terms of the average, not averaging the threshold of 10, but Nathan Collins on 9.25 and Van den Berg on 8.83. They've both picked up DEFCON points in 6 games so far, and they have 12 points in total. So between them both, they are very much interested in me in terms of in DEFCONs and picking them for a free hit. The player that I'm most interested in this week is going to be Van den Berg, and again I can bring up the attacking stats for defenders, and the reason for picking him over Nathan Collins, even though he has a little bit less DEFCON, is because of his expected goal involvement. You can see there he's sitting in number 8 amongst defenders for expected goal involvements with 1.9, so he's going to be a big differential for me. I think he's only 0.7% owned or something like that. And again, he's someone I'm never going to actually want in my actual FPL team, but I think he could do really well with nice clean sheet odds against Burnley this week, and good underlying stats to potentially get a goal with some DEFCONs in there. So a really nice haul is on the cards. Now, I'm still considering Nathan Collins as a potential, but he isn't in the current draft. Now, the next team I want to look at is Aston Villa for defence, because they're sitting in 3rd place for clean sheet odds, a 39% chance of a clean sheet against Wolves, and the player I want to pick, as you can see by the attack and defenders list again, is going to be Matty Cash, because he has 12 shots, which is 5th amongst defenders, and he's got obviously a very decent attacking potential. I remember I had him, I think it was 2 seasons ago, and he picked up a 17-point haul. I think he got 2 goals in that match, and he was on my bench and he auto subbed in because someone didn't play that week. But that's what I remember from Matty Cash, again, this is another week where I think he could do absolutely fantastically. Wolves obviously extremely poor. If I can get an attacking return from him, fantastic. And then obviously the clean sheet looks pretty decent for him as well. Now, the only team I've not looked at yet is Manchester City. And again, looking at the attacking stats as I switch over, my main pick is going to be Nico O'Reilly, because he, again, the same as Matty Cash, is sitting in 4th place with 12 shots amongst defenders. And the fact that he also got benched in the Champions League makes this an even better pick, in my opinion. And Nico O'Reilly goes straight in the team. Now, I've definitely want to be tripling up on Man City right now. Whether that's going to be a double up in attack or a double up in defence, I'm not sure. Of course, Erling Haaland is 100% going to be in this team, so we can add him right now. But whether I'm going to go for both O'Reilly and Nunes, who looks like a really decent pick as well this week, a little bit more predicted points as well than Nico O'Reilly. I can either bank on that clean sheet or I could go for goals for Man City. And I'm not sure exactly how I want to do that yet. We'll see if another midfielder pops up. But for right now, it's going to be O'Reilly and Nunez. Potentially I could go for a Foden or a Doku and double up on the attack instead. But I think that City clean sheet looks really good. They're the second best defence, only below Arsenal in the league so far this season. And I think that clean sheet is going to be pretty nailed on. And hopefully, both of them, or at least one of them, can pick up an attack in return as well. Now, I do have one other player that is going to make the defence in here, because I'm looking to do a 5-back formation with defenders really being the players that are picking up the points this season. I don't want to be missing out on some potential hauls, and I'm going to go for Munoz, who I don't think is going to be a hugely selected player on a free hit. Again, the Man United fixture isn't as good as the likes of Burnley at home and Wolves at home, but Munoz can do anything in any game. I think he's probably the best defender in the game. He's in my current FPL team, and I've been raving about him in the entire season about how much he is probably the best defender that you can get in FPL. Playing at home against a Man United side that just get beat 1-0 to a 10-man Everton, I really don't see why I wouldn't have him in the team. He's top for expected goal involvements, he's third for shots amongst defenders, and I just think he's a great pick still for this week, even if we are going to be free hitting. So it has O'Reilly on the bench right now, but we'll switch the formation once the team is sorted, but it's looking like it's going to be a 5-back for me with these 5 players. And then for the midfielders, I am looking at a couple of players. Again, I just don't really like midfielders at all in this game at the minute. The first one that I'm looking at is I'm going to probably give Mohamed Salah a chance, potentially going for a Cody Gakpo, but Salah's not really owned at all at the minute. Liverpool have a nice run of fixtures, and we can pull up the stats for attacking midfielders, and as you can see, Mohamed Salah is the number 1 player for shots, and he is sitting in 5th for expected goal involvement. So yes, he hasn't really been picking up the points recently, but I'm willing to give him a shot against the second worst defence in the league in West Ham. I don't plan on owning Salah at all, for a long while now, and I do feel as though it's a decent week to punt on him, where a lot of people aren't going to own him. He's not going to be the captain, obviously that is going to be given to Erling Haaland, but I feel like if anything, it's a decent enough week to give Mohamed Salah a shot. We know when he does play well, the points he can pick up, and hopefully that can be this week. Now again, still kinda could be tempted by a Cody Gakpo. I will decide how that goes closer to the time, but he's another one that is very close to making the team. Again, I can look at the goal projections as well, and outside of Man City, Liverpool are the team expected to score the most goals. Even though Brentford and Villa have some really nice fixtures, Liverpool are still expected to score a good few goals. So definitely on a free hit, I'm going to want at least one Liverpool attacker, and Mohamed Salah being the penalty taker, I think just makes him the best option available. Now the next player that I'm going to be choosing for the free hit, again trying to pick some differentials that are available right now, I'm going to go for Morgan Gibbs-White. Now he is flagged and he is suffering from a bit of an injury. He did miss Nottingham Forest's Europa League game, so this is a touch and go with this one. I could easily, again as I was speaking about Gakpo, just swap him to Gakpo before the deadline, depending on how press conferences go and stuff with him. I'm not going to take any risks, I don't think, so if he isn't available, I'll just move to someone else, again, like Cody Gakpo, and go for that. But again, he is Nottingham Forest's primary penalty taker when he is on the pitch, and he, again, if we bring up the midfielder stats again, sorry to keep overloading you with stats, but he's sitting in 6th for shots, similar shots to Brian Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes and stuff like that, and again he is going to be a penalty taker playing against Brighton at home, which isn't an amazing fixture, but it's not a bad fixture either, and he definitely could do quite well if he does start, of course. And then the final player to round off the midfield, I'm going to be looking at a 5-3-2 formation, is going to be Kevin Shaddy from Brentford. Now, again, another very hit and miss one that I could potentially go for, because I really like Shaddy, but I also really like Dango as well. Looking at the last 5 games between them both, Dango has more shots and more shots in the box. Shaddy is still a really nice player, more consistent, but he does have more expected goals. He's got higher expected assists as well, and he's only 1 shot behind Dango in the last few games. So I think overall, is probably going to be the more safer pick. And as much as I like Dango as a choice, I think we're maybe going a bit too differential, which I don't need to do with my current rank at the minute. So I think I'm just going to play it safe and go for Kevin Shaddy in the team. And then we will round it off with Igor Thiago, again one of the most informed players in the game right now, in the league right now, and of course the main penalty taker for Brentford as well, which does give me this team, which we will quickly round off, and I can just go for some more cheaper players. So I'll just go for King in midfield, and I've already got him there. So King, we'll go Krippy Jr. Do you know what, I've got enough money in the bank, we'll stick Morgan Rogers in there for now as a potential player, which does only just leave me with a goalkeeper to choose. And considering the fact that I've already got the triple Man City and I already get the triple Brentford, I've got an open spot in Aston Villa, and I'll probably just chuck that towards Emi Martinez in goal, and that way we've got the double Villa defence, and then we can give that to Dubravka. So that's going to be the team, and if we optimise that, it does have Gibbs White on the bench for now, but I think I'll maybe look at playing Gibbs White if possible in that game, and it gives me a 93% game week rating, which again overall is only 1% higher than my actual team. I think that's a little bit low because I obviously am playing Gibbs White in this fixture. If I take him out for Rogers and just substitute them, I think that'll give me a little bit of a higher rating, 95% weight rating for that week, with Haaland of course as the captain. So that's kind of where I'm at with the team, and again plenty of differentials in here, which just does seem like a lot of fun. And again, I am not 100% locked on this, but I think at least 7 or 8 of these players are definitely going to be in the free hit team. I have already pressed the button as well, so I'm definitely going to be doing the free hit this week. But again, a lot of 50-50s still to decide as we get towards the deadline, and that's going to be whether I play Mateus Nunes or go for a Doku or Foden instead. Whether I go for Mohamed Salah or Cody Gakpo, Shaddy or Dango Ouattara, and whether Gibbs White plays, of course, is going to be a big decision that we're going to have to wait and see. Some injury news for that, so that's kind of where I'm at with this team. Hopefully I can even further increase that 27k rank and really make a good head run into the end of the year. Let me know down in the comments if you are going to be using your free hit as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.